Hello, everybody. My name is Benny, and this is A Fool's Apprentice. And today we got another tarot chat. And my guest today is Tara. Hi, Tara. How are you doing?
I am very happy to spend my morning with you.
Oh, thank you. Have you had your coffee yet? Do you drink coffee or do you do tea?
I do both, but my first one is always a coffee. So
Okay.
yes.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I had my coffee. I was up at 5:30 this morning.
Too
Excuse me.
early for me.
Well, yeah. Well, I normally wake up at 5:30 for work. I've started a new workout routine. And so I get to the gym by 6, I'm home by 7, I get ready to go to work. And then on the weekends, I try to keep it no later than 7, but I woke up at 4:30 and I just laid in bed and finally I was like, just get up.
Yeah.
But I'll
I
take a
usually get up at 6 during the week, and then weekends I set my alarm this morning because I was like, I have to be ready for Benny. But yeah.
nap. So tell me about your channel, the name of your channel, and just introduce yourself to everybody who doesn't know you yet.
Yeah, so my channel is called Cozy Core Craft. I think next month it'll be a year that I've been putting like proper, like full videos out on there.
Hmm.
Um, I started it predominantly as a tarot channel, and it has like pretty much it has stayed that. But there's so many other things that I kind of sprinkle throughout it that I love.
Yeah, I've noticed.
Yeah. So, yeah, I try to put up one video a week, and I love like this part of it, like doing collaborations with other people and things like
Hmm.
that. So that's kind of started to become a part of it as well, and it's just a source of joy and creativity that I love.
I love it too, except for the technology part.
Yes.
Like I was mentioning, we were talking right before we got on, and I said, "Oh, let's save it for the recording." Is yesterday I use Riverside FM for my recording software that we do online. Most people use StreamYard, I think, and I really like it, except for the downloading process drives me batty, and I was so stressed out and so overwhelmed. Like the great thing is that they have a support chat and they get on right away, like right away. They'll have you answer a few questions, and then would you like to talk to somebody? Hit yes. They'll ask you one more question, and then a live person is on to walk you through. And before I did that, went on a little. This is the most difficult thing I've ever had to do with your platform. All the other ones are so easy, but you're my favorite, except for this one thing. I'm feeling overwhelmed. My blood pressure is high. Send. I was like, oh my God, Benny. And so then I finally got someone, and I'm really good at describing what's going on step by step. And he wasn't understanding me. He was telling me to do all these things, technical stuff. And I'm like, I'm having a hard time downloading. You want me to jump through these hoops? And he's like, send me a screenshot. And I'm like, I'm overwhelmed. I can't anymore. I'm so sorry. Thanks for trying. So finally figured it out. But it's a challenge for me. Technology is a challenge. How have you found technology for you with Tarot 2?
Um, it's definitely been a challenge at times. I think the most frustrating thing is like the upload time for my videos. Like it is
Oh, yeah.
hours, and or if I start uploading and then it, 3 hours in it decides to like not upload properly and then you have to start all over again. It's just,
Mhm.
yeah, it can be frustrating in that sense.
And see, I need to do more research. You know what? I'm going to call Apple. I'm going to call Apple and I'm going to ask them what's going on. Or maybe my internet, because some people it's uploads really quickly, and so I don't know if it deals with. I know part of it deals with the upload speed that you have.
Yeah.
The other part I think is the amount of people that are uploading. But I upload over. But this is a thing, there's peak throughout the I think the whole world with YouTube because it's noon somewhere everywhere around the world. So I tend to upload right when I go to sleep. So when I'm up, it's done. But I found a few times that it hasn't been done. It's still's got like 15% to go. And I'm like, really? I slept 8 hours? So I don't know what's going on with that, but it does make it a bit frustrating.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
I've run into that too.
and then sometimes I need to do something on the computer, but I won't because I'm afraid that if I do something on the computer, it'll mess it up.
Yep. Yep. Definitely.
So, but I also think part of it is the type of computer that you have and how it uploads through the computer or downloads through the computer. So I regret not, I have a MacBook Air. I regret not getting the MacBook Pro, but I'm gonna wait another maybe 2 to 3 years before I upgrade again because I just had this maybe a year and a half, and
Yeah,
I'm just not gonna buy a brand new one just to upload faster.
yeah, true, true.
Now, one of the things that I always do when I do these chats is I go to everybody's first video. Your first video is pretty good. The quality of it's good. The audio, big thing for people is audio is number one, which is just good. Video quality really good. And so, had you practiced with all of that before?
Yes, I had a channel, I think probably around 2020, sometime around 2020. It was actually like a booktube channel. Um, but I
Yes.
had around, I think I don't know if it was on the same channel or a different one. I had actually filmed some tarot videos as well. Um, and then I abandoned those projects. So yeah, it wasn't my first, I didn't have a huge following or anything like that. I didn't do it for very long. But yeah, it wasn't my first time doing it.
Okay, because it came out really well. If I'm looking down, it's because I'm trying to get through this Benny Proof power drink. It's killing me. Um, like I said, I'm doing a new workout. Uh, I've had some major health issues, and I'm at a point where if I don't go to the gym and start working out, I'm going to be dealing with frailty issues as I get older, I mean, pretty quickly. And so my brother is really big about me getting protein in, and my evidently my breakfast didn't have enough protein, so he's like, "You got to have a protein shake." So here I am fighting to get a protein shake in while I do this chat.
Yeah.
Now I found it your so that kind of also lets me because I find people's first videos very interesting, like why that video? But now I get a better understanding is because you had some before, you had kind of a flow going already. So, because your first video, you're doing book reviews and you're going through cards, and instead of like this general intro, this is my channel, this is what we'll be doing. So, I want to read that book, that Harry Potter book, the free one
Oh,
with
the fan fiction?
yes, with Hermione. I saw it's actually yeah, yeah, because I could hear how much you said it. You said you were not near the end. You said if unless something happens, this is the best book you've ever read.
Oh, Manacled.
Yes,
Yes, it is the best book I've ever read.
is it?
It's incredible. Yeah.
It's been sitting there for me in my on my Kindle, and I haven't started it.
It's an intimidating read for a lot of people. It was for me. And I think like a lot of people would probably share this feeling. It's long. I think it's longer than the Bible. Like it's a long book.
But yeah,
Um,
Harry Potter books are long,
hmm?
but the original Harry Potter books are long too.
Yeah, that's true. I think this is probably one of my friends has a bind up of it, and it's like over 1,000 pages.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a long one. So, and it's also a dark romance. So that's not for everybody. There's a lot of trigger warnings that the author gives, like at the beginning of every chapter. But like I always say, like I don't have a soul. Like I'm good. Like I'm not affected by that stuff. So yeah, I think I've read so many since then. I've just fallen in love with that whole world of fan fiction.
So you're a big reader.
Yes, definitely.
Do you incorporate the books that you read with tarot?
Um, I guess like off the top of my head, I want to say no, but I feel like I think about them together often. Like I would say tarot is more closely related to my writing than my reading, but I think there is a connection in like what I like in tarot and what I like in books.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, if that makes sense.
It does. It does make sense to me. Um, because I don't know. You follow. You know who Don Michelle is. It was on your first video.
I'm just joking.
Um,
Yes, I do.
and she actually has shown videos. I don't know if for the memberships for sure, where she shows how she takes parts of books, paragraphs, or titles and creates a spread out of them. Have you
I
seen that?
don't I don't think so. I've watched some of her videos where she connects books to decks and stuff like that, but I can't remember like the details of it. But
Yeah.
that
She will
um
actually take a book that she has, she will read a paragraph, and then she highlights things that, she's like, "Oh," and then she'll show you how she creates the spread. Or she'll take the index and the titles of the chapters and create a spread based on each title to create a
oh,
whole spread for the book. It's really, really cool. So I'm
oh,
thinking that might be something that you might find interesting.
I definitely find that interesting. Yes.
Yeah. And so what was the spark that led to starting a YouTube channel
um
specifically for tarot?
other tarot tubers for sure.
Mhm.
Like, I always say I can't remember who I started watching first, but like Lisa Pepez, Don Michelle, and Danny Mystic were like the three that are like at the forefront of my mind when I think of when I started watching tarot tube.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to be part of it. Like I saw what they were doing and I was like, I can do that. And I saw too, like the community around it. I saw the friendships that were created through it and stuff like that. And I think like doing something like this on YouTube is such a unique opportunity. And the cool thing is that, you know, for the most part, it's available to whoever wants to do it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And um what were the biggest obstacles you had in trying to start setting up a YouTube channel or just a YouTube channel in general for you?
just myself and my confidence.
Yeah.
Um, it's I I started it thinking, I don't want to I want to be like authentic on
Mhm.
YouTube. And that scares me sometimes
Yeah.
because nobody wants to be judged and stuff like that. So it was coming to terms with weighing the my value of authenticity and honesty
Mhm.
versus acceptance. And I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I need to find a way to be honest with myself and my audience and be authentic in a way that still is soft and gentle and kind. So
Yeah, I think that's an extremely valid point. I think some of the I don't know, I live a very authentic life, um, in my life, like at work, at home, with friends, out in the community, at the mall. I am who I am, and if you don't like me, it's none of my business. And I learned this lesson very early on in my life where being a gay man, you go through this huge, or any gay person, you go through this huge introspective, you know, as you grow up, because all of a sudden you find that you're different than the vast majority of the world.
yeah,
And so you have to do a lot of internal digging and investigating. And, there's a lot that you have to psychologically and emotionally get through just to get to a place where you're comfortable. Then you have to deal with the world, and everything else that comes with that. And so all of a sudden, I find myself thrust in front of a camera with the internet worldwide.
yeah,
And all of a sudden, it's like, ooh, I don't know if I can be that authentic
yeah,
with everybody. 'Cause I don't know. It just felt, it feels different. Everybody, even though all of y'all are out there, um, and don't have a direct impact in how I live my life, I still know that you're out there and can impact me by the comments and stuff. And so that was really like a challenge for me, and I found it very interesting. And then I will tell you that the biggest person that had an influence on my authenticity was Lisa Papez and her wife, Peggy. Watching them just be themselves, just so open, really warmed my heart. And it just freed me to be who I am on the camera. And it just opened up everything. And so I am what I am. And I'm still mindful of what I say, but yeah, I can totally relate to that.
yeah. That's beautiful. It was when, as you were saying that, I mean, I'm not a gay person, but I'm 38 years old, and so I feel like I've lived through a period of time where I saw like a lot of really difficult some of my friends and family go through some very difficult times with judgment and things like that, and just the way people spoke and things like that. So I
Hmm.
feel like I have seen a change, but that's not to say that that doesn't still exist, or there's not still like some feelings in the back of people's minds, some worry or whatever it is. But I love that, you know, regardless of like the elements of our personality and things like that, I think
Hmm.
we're in a much better place. Like I don't know what you would say, but I feel like people, it's just this is who I am. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
there we are in a better place from when I was younger and even from generations before me. But there here it feels like there's a backlash happening, in the United States
yeah.
with all these new laws coming up. I mean, just even laws against drag queens. I find that hard to believe.
I'm not
But
familiar.
yeah, but I think people can also relate with tarot as a tarot reader living in a very Christian, world. Um, it can be very difficult to also come out and be your authentic self when it comes to tarot and how you use it in your life and your spirituality and not being able to be open. Were you easily able to open up to family and friends, or do you still have some kind of a guard for yourself to protect yourself?
So my personal situation is a little bit weird. So I was raised Catholic, but no one was. It wasn't
Same.
like a hardcore situation. And around like my like tweens, like up until probably like a year or two ago, I pushed back against that very strongly. I was very negative towards that. But I had a life event that happened that was pretty significant, and I turned to Christianity. And so now I am a Christian. And so the funny thing is, there's discomfort for me on both sides.
Mm.
So with like the people in my life that I share my faith with, they've never said anything disparaging to me or anything like that. They never made me feel, and I've talked to them about like using tarot and like how I kind of move through my feelings about that. And I still do, you know what I mean? Like I put out a podcast episode about it once, just talking about like how I try to balance like my faith with my practice and these things that bring me so much joy and that I love so much. And then so I'm always mindful of that. And then within the tarot community, you know, I do hear people say like negative things about Christianity, and that's fine. Like I think people should be able to say whatever they feel, and
Yeah.
and I will totally acknowledge that there is validity in a lot of those comments sometimes. But of course, nobody wants their faith or something they love or something about themselves or whatever to be, you know, judged blanket statement
Hmm.
wise.
Yeah.
But again, I don't blame people for doing it. Religions have done horrendous things throughout
Yeah.
history. There's no doubt about that. So there's discomfort for me on the tarot side of things being a Christian because I'm afraid of that
Yeah.
judgment as well. So
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I'm in the middle, like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I completely get it. I also grew up Christian, and of course, as a gay kid, oh my gosh, drama.
Yeah.
And then I found Buddhism, which fit perfectly. And then I thought, I'm a Buddhist, I'm done. Yes. And then all of a sudden, my Christian beliefs and values that were instilled as a child started to creep up, and then they kind of morphed together. And then I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And yes, I found the perfect balance. And then all of a sudden I found tarot and it came in. And so now I have this, thing where all three work together. So it's really, really interesting. But I've been very fortunate that I think because of that process that I went through as a youth and then deciding I'm going to live an authentic life, I never really struggled with the tarot and telling people that I do tarot. And, I get side eyes, but I'm like, it's not my
Yeah.
issue. And I really do live by what you think of me is none of my business as much as possible. People say things and sometimes it gets under your skin, but overall, I'm pretty good about it.
Yeah. I think that's a good attitude to have. I mean, of course, like, you know, I don't want anyone to like hate me or anything like that. And I don't want to hurt anyone. That's never my
Yeah.
intention. But I think, like I said, like my main priority is to be like as authentic and honest as possible. I think that's the most respectful thing to do, even if
Mhm.
someone doesn't agree with me or whatever. I think like I don't think me lying to them about who I am is respectful towards them. And I want to treat anyone that takes the time to watch my videos with that respect. So
I love that. I love that. So how long ago did you were you introduced to the tarot?
I mean, I remember I have like flashbacks as of like a child, like, you know, seeing it in movies and stuff like that. And there was always that, like, I'm such a Gemini, like there's like weird, like little different parts of my personality. Like I feel like sometimes I want to be like that, like gothy, like witchy person, like reading the tarot and all that kind of stuff. And so when I think back to my childhood, I think of like wanting to be that person. I remember like as a teenager getting like a reading done at a mall or something like that. But I think when it first started really becoming a part of my life was probably around 2016 or 2017, in and around there. Um, don't quote me on that, anyone, if you're like, that podcast didn't exist around that time, because I'm going to talk about that podcast. My timing might be
Right.
off.
So what was it in that time that kind of like made the shift for you to invest more time with the tarot?
Uh, Stress and mental health things and stuff like that. I was going through a very difficult time, and I was just grasping at like anything that could possibly help me navigate it. I was, you know, doing therapy and all that kind of stuff, and it just wasn't. None of it seemed like enough to make a real difference.
Hmm.
And I don't remember if I just went searching or if I saw an article or whatever, but I ended up making my way to the Labyrinthos app. And I know you've talked about them many times. I guess that was technically like my first deck because I was like using the app and like kind of
Hmm.
using it as a self reflection thing. But around the same time, I was listening to the Biddy Tarot podcast. And I listened to that podcast. I every single episode from beginning to end. Like I was so obsessed with it because the way that she approached the tarot was a way that I had never. I just always thought it was fortune telling. That's
Hmm.
was my impression
Yeah,
of it.
that was my initial reaction. I thought it was also very fortune telling. I didn't realize that you could use it so many different ways.
Yeah. So when I was listening to her podcast, I was like, oh, you can use it for like self reflection and like, you know, all these other things and deepening your intuition and stuff like that. And so and she was the first person that introduced me to the way of reading where you're not necessarily like going by the book, you're looking at the cards and seeing like what does that bring out of me, like what, you know, what's my reaction to this image or whatever it is.
Hmm.
And so those two things like spurred me into, and then I think I probably looked her up on YouTube, and then I found like Lisa and Danny and
Yeah.
Dawn and so on, and it just kind of got the ball rolling.
And when you started, like, did you make a decision, I'm going to learn this, or did it just slowly kind of happen where you just found yourself with tarot in your life?
I think I decided to learn it because I did some very specific things. Like, again, on Biddy Tarot, I don't know if she still has it, but she had a membership that it was like a monthly, you paid monthly,
Hmm.
where you had access to a bunch of her resources. But another part of it was you were able to sign up as a reader for and do free readings for others in exchange for feedback. So it's kind of cool. Like if you ever want a reading, uh, and you know you for whatever reason don't want to pay for one, that's like a resource for people where they can go get free readings as long as they agree to give feedback. So
Yeah.
I did that, and I started doing readings for other people. And even at that time, I wasn't. I didn't have like a relationship with God. I wasn't Christian or anything like that. So that wasn't part of like whether I was going to read predictively or not, but I was trying to find like what my reading style is. Like, do I have the ability to read predictively? Is that something that I want to do? Is it something more intuitive and life coachy style of reading and things like that? So yeah, I did those readings. I was very surprised like how positive the feedback was, and it gave me the confidence to be like, oh, I can do this. And so yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, in learning the tarot, any major challenges that you faced? Any particular cards that you were like, why can I not remember this card?
I know this is everybody's answer, and I wish I could
The
give a
card
different
card.
one, but the fucking sorry, the court cards. I don't know if you swear on
Everybody does say the court cards, but then my follow-up question outside of the court cards, anything in particular?
I was like just flipping through a deck because I was like, I know there is like a few minors that kind of just never really, like maybe the Seven of Wands. Like there's just some that I, and the Wheel of Fortune, like that's my card of the year actually this year. And I'm just like, I don't get it. Like there's some cards that I have a very like clear, like I know exactly what they mean when I see them. And then there's other ones that I kind of just, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't get.
So when it comes to the cards, like when you're buying a deck, are there cards that you always go to see, what does that card look like? Like for me, that's the Five of Pentacles. I have to see the Five of Pentacles before I buy a deck.
Can I ask you why it's the Five of Pentacles?
It um it has the most emotional impact on me of all the cards. It reminds me of my childhood and all the things that I've overcome to be where I am today. And I just see my mom and me in that card. You're gonna make me cry.
You're gonna make me cry. I started
Uh,
out.
I just see the life struggle and the love that they have
Yeah,
and how they're connected in this journey and trying to make it to the other side.
yeah, they're pushing.
Um, yeah, and so I don't know, it just really taps into that place where it's almost a comforting card, because it does remind me of my childhood.
Yeah,
Um, and in my childhood, I did not know that it was a struggle because when you don't know what you don't know, you know what I mean? It wasn't until, but I don't know. It's a card that I'm just really, I think it's a very spiritually touching card for me.
yeah. I think it's beautiful that you said as a child you didn't realize that. Just goes to show the what your mom did to protect you from the stress of those type of
My
situations.
mother was I like, God, I don't want to go in too deep, but my mother did made so many sacrifices when I was a kid that I didn't notice were sacrifices.
Yeah,
Like when we didn't have enough food, I don't have a lot of memories as a kid, but what I do remember sometimes my mother feeding us and then her not eating
yeah,
and me going like, "Mom, you should eat," and she's like, "Mijo, I'm not hungry." I didn't realize until later it was because there just wasn't a lot of food.
yeah.
You know, sad story. Oh my God, I'm like, should I
But you know
edit
what?
this
Like, look
out?
at you now. That's kind of the thing too. Is like it's a hardship,
Yeah,
but it's not
yeah.
forever. Like,
But yeah, it is not because I'm prospering in my life. My siblings are prospering. My mother's. We take care of my mom like she took care of us. So
yeah,
you know, um, yeah. So that's what the card means for me.
that's I don't blame you for really having a good look at that one. That sounds like a very important thing to be able to connect with.
Yeah. And did you notice how uncomfortable I was being that vulnerable?
Yeah. But you did it.
So
um,
what card do you end up looking to?
there's a couple, but the first one that came to my mind was the lovers.
Oh, why the lovers?
Because I just am a romantic person. And I feel
Mhm.
like, and I'm not saying this is wrong, it's just my preference. I like the lover's card to be a romantic card. Like, I
Yeah,
know, yeah, I know people say it's, about choice, and that very well, I think that is actually technically true. Like, I think that's textbook, like the meaning of the card. But I like to see a romantic element, a sensuality, and stuff like that to the lover's card.
I
That's
think it can be both. In fact, there is this because I've looked at the Two of Cups and the lovers, and I've come to a place where like the Two of Cups is about romance, but it's like new romance, the beginning of a journey in a relationship. While the Lovers card, it is about partnership and stuff. But I think the Two of Cups is the beginning, and then the Lovers card is further down the line.
yeah,
People who have committed to the relationship, who've already gone through difficulties, who have overcome those difficulties to remain in the marriage because of that dedication. And so that's how I see those two. So I see romance in the lovers as well.
yeah. Like just the word lover, like that is a
I know.
whole. Well, that's it's, its own
I
entity
hate
of
that word.
intimacy. So,
I
yeah.
hate the I hate the word lover because and I'll tell you why. In the gay community, back in the day, the thing would be, oh, this is my lover, so and so, and I'd be like, "Ugh." Just I don't
TMI.
I don't like that. Yeah, it does feel very TMI. I'm like, I don't need that image.
Yeah.
But that was, a very common term back
I
in the
didn't
day.
know that.
Yeah, yeah. And
That's
so I haven't thought of that in forever because that doesn't come up as often. But yeah, thanks for the memory.
yeah, no problem. That is intense. I would if someone introduced me to things, I'd be like, hey, like I would assume, but
Yeah,
I
it
didn't
doesn't feel
experience.
as romantic, right? When you put it
Yeah.
in that context.
Um,
Were there other cards? You mentioned there were a few cards.
yeah, the Six of Swords I always look at only because it was my first ever stalker card. And it
Oh,
still does kind of stalk me quite a bit. So I look at that one.
I love that you say stalker card. I've had one stalker card, only one. It was the Three of Wands. Um,
It's
it
fun.
showed up like 4 times in a week, and then I was working with a mentor, a tarot mentor, and at the end, he always pulled a card, and I told him that week, "I have a stalker card," and then I showed him and talked about it, and he pulls a card, and it's the Three of Wands, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And
Yeah.
he's like, "Well, I got nothing to say. I think it says it all for itself."
Yeah.
So, have you had any other stalker cards? And what does the stalker cards kind of signify for you?
um I feel like I'm getting like banged over the head like with a
Mhm,
message kind of thing, and it's like
mhm.
you're not getting it. So I try to think about like, okay, what was my impression last time I got this card, or what did I not do that should have been in response to this? Um, so yeah, sorry, I don't know if that answers your question,
Yeah,
but
it does, it is. It's just like, you really need to be paying attention to this. You
yeah,
need to be mindful,
yeah,
"Hey, don't forget, this is what we're working on," or something to that effect.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And so how do you do what does your practice look like now with tarot?
Um, I mean, I am the kind of person that will often like pull a card in the morning. It's typically from an oracle. Kind of just when I'm sitting having my coffee in the morning. My mornings, like as a whole, are very like ritualistic for me. So I do love that. I don't often like journal or anything on that. Um, and then I do have like a daily planner that I journal in as well.
Mhm.
So I don't do it every single day, but I'll often pull, 3 cards or something like that. I kind of just whatever I'm in the mood for. Sometimes I'll take a picture of it and then just kind of write a reflection on like how it makes me feel. And yeah, I sometimes I pull a card before bed as well. I do have like a nighttime deck that I kind of will pull before bed at times.
Okay, that's interesting. You say you have a nighttime deck. Is it a deck for nighttime use only, or is it a deck that you're using during the night and then you switch them out?
Um, well, I wouldn't say like I would never use it. Like right now, it's the Mysteries of the Black Madonna, which like I'm seriously considering
I was
switching.
gonna ask you about those because your video had Mysteries of Mary.
Yeah,
Okay, so you're using that at night.
yeah, and it's a very intense deck. So I'm like, maybe I need to like chill with this one a little bit.
Yeah.
Before that, I was using the Martians, some Mystic Martians Oracle or something like that, which was fun. It
Okay.
was like a little more lighthearted and stuff like that. So yeah, I do switch them out once in a while, like maybe every like month or season or something like that. Um, and I wouldn't necessarily say I would never use it at any other time, just kind of whatever I'm feeling.
So now I know you have the Mysteries of Mary and the Mysteries of the Black Madonna. Um, what do you think of the guidebooks?
They hurt my brain a lot.
Yeah, she is very cerebral,
Yes,
but I do love that she gives you a lot of history
yeah,
with each card. So you can tell there's a lot of work
yeah,
that she puts into um, each image, which is an actual shrine that she created from
yeah,
scratch.
exactly.
So, I mean, so what she charges for, I think, is fair considering she had to go out of these countries or did the research because she's always going on some sabbatical of some sort
Yeah.
still.
Yes.
Um, and do you use them often?
Well, the Mysteries of the Black Madonna I've been using more just because, like I said, it's like kind of sitting in my little nighttime deck spot right now. The Mysteries of Mary, I had a period of time where I was using it like almost every day because I was trying to do like a little bit of a study on it. Um, but I feel like they're not decks that there's a lot of decks that I have that I would just kind of like feel like I could pull out whenever, but I feel
Yeah,
like I need to be in the headspace for those ones. And because also I would never not use the guidebook with them.
yeah. And for those who are interested in it, for me, it's not the kind of deck that I would use for like a traditional tarot reading because the guidebook is so dense. There is so much information. It's really more like a single card pull, read, sit, contemplate. What I do is I'll actually pull out a sentence or two that really call on me, and that's what I kind of meditate on and look at the card and see what comes up. But it's not a let me do a reading for you, you know,
No.
and pull out like three Black Madonna cards, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
can't do that one.
Yeah, you need to rethink like your whole life when you pull those cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you now in that video? I've seen several of your videos, but the questions seem to be going to your first video. Um, you read Rider-Waite-Smith mostly
Yeah.
or only because you have
Uh,
books on Marseille and Thoth.
Correct. Yeah, but I would say like vast majority of the reading that I do is Rider Waite Smith. If I read Thoth or Marseille, it's uh, I'm very dependent on the books, and I don't feel confident in it. Yeah.
And do you oh, okay. I lost my train of thought for a second. So, because I had a specific question I wanted to ask. So, what made you decide on Rider-Waite-Smith over Marseille and Thoth?
It was just the one that I first became familiar with. Like
Okay.
I don't even know if I really understood that there was different like genres of tarot when
Hmm.
I first started. I think that was just the one that I stumbled across, so it
Hmm.
just fit. Although I think if I would have encountered like all of the options right off the bat, I probably still would have picked Rider Waite Smith just because of the opportunity to react to the actual artwork because I think that's
Hmm.
a huge support in reading.
Yeah, I'm the same
Although
way.
Thoth, I could see maybe as well. I really like the vibe of Thoth. Like I like the kind of like esotericiness to it, and I do really love the art. But with the Thoth, you have that support of that keyword right there as
Yeah,
well.
I like Marseille second more. I actually have a few Marseille decks that I really like. You have to excuse me, it's allergies. I have. Do I not have it off here? I have a deck, the Marseille weight deck. Have you seen that one?
Oh
The
yes,
French one? I love that one. It's actually literally one of my favorite decks because it incorporates both, and I love the images and the colors and all that kind of stuff. Are there particular kinds of tarot decks that you're particularly drawn to, like stylistic wise?
yeah. I would say I really like fantasy type of theming in my decks.
Hmm.
I really love like lush beauty in my decks. Um, I feel like it's easier to say what I don't like than what I
What
do.
do you like?
I typically don't like modern decks.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it about modern decks that you don't like, you think?
I think it's the connection to like modern day issues. Like there's some modern decks that make me think of like political stuff. And like that's
Mm,
might not even necessarily be like the intention of the artist, or it might be. I don't know. Um, but that's not necessarily something that I want to ensure that I have in my deck. Like sometimes when I'm reading tarot, it is a bit of an escape too, right? Like it's kind of removing the external world and going inwards.
hmm.
And so if I'm using a modern deck, sometimes it can pull me out of that and it can get me to kind of like spiral on like whatever the issue of the day is or something in the news or something like that. And that's just like not how I want to interact with my decks. I don't like anthropomorphized animals.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Freaks
I
me
think
out.
I'm on the same page with you on that one.
Yeah. I do have some exceptions for sure. But generally speaking, like if someone was showing a deck or there's a new one coming out and that's the thing, I would be like, yeah, no, I'm good. It's not for me. Um, it used to be pip decks, but I'm quite curious about pips.
I got a new pip deck that I like quite a bit. In fact, I'm going to do a study with Kelsey from Huggy Tarot on the deck. The Mio Ims. She's
Yes.
yeah. I really like it. I'm going to do a walkthrough of it. I hate the box and I hate the cardstock.
I made a bag for her because I don't think she liked the box very much. And it's a weird shape too, right? It's like a longer one.
Yeah, it's right here. It's right here. But the
Um,
images are amazing.
yeah.
But the box, for me, is shit.
Yeah.
And the cardstock isn't much better. But the images are phenomenal. And I would not have bought the deck. That's not true. Let me rephrase that. If I was not doing it, going to be doing a deck study of this with Kelsey, I wouldn't have bought the deck.
Yeah.
But doing the deck study with her, we haven't started yet. Is make it makes it worth it for me because of two things. One, the investment that I'm going to make in learning the deck,
Yeah.
and also I really do love the imagery.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Uh, but for what they charged, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
But art is subjective. That's what the artist feels his art is worth.
Yeah.
And so for it's fair because when it comes to art, it's subjective of what you want to pay.
Yeah.
And so that's what he's like, it's $120, $120. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pay $120. Uh so
I think they're free to charge whatever they want. I mean, they may be doing themselves a disservice or they may not. You know what I mean? Like but it's their choice to charge whatever they want, and it's people's choice to buy it or not. And
yeah. Yeah. And really I was on the fence of no, like right on the fence. I'm over here 51% no. And then when Kelsey's like, we started, I don't know who came up with it, but doing a deck study, I was like, oh, okay, 75% yes. It was an
yeah,
easy clap.
getting to hang out with Kelsey makes it worth it for sure.
Oh my gosh, I have really enjoyed start doing this series of tarot chats. Part of it was getting to meet other people, and it's been so nice to stay connected with people after the tarot chat.
Yeah,
Like you and I have only spoken. You're the first person that I've actually spoken to before a tarot chat.
yeah.
You know, um, and you're the second person that did voice messages back and forth.
Oh,
But I actually haven't reached out to you to talk because I wanted to have this first impression interview because I wanted to get to know you on camera so everybody else can get to know you as well.
oh, I love that.
So you'll be hearing from me. You'll probably be like, "Oh my God, should I block this guy?"
No, Kelsey and I talk to Kelsey more than I talk to like some of my friends I've had for like
Yeah,
decades.
I actually we speak at least or we chat or something at least once a week.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's been really really nice talking to people that enjoy the tarot as well.
yeah, yeah. It's such a obviously such a big part of all of our lives, and it's just it it's nice to share like what you love
Mhm.
with other people.
Like when I get a deck, now I have somebody I can message or talk to or show.
Please do.
So that's exciting. Um, excuse me, somebody's calling. Okay, I'll have to edit that out. Did you hear the ringing?
I did. I almost thought it was my phone. I was like, "Do I have my ringer
Yeah,
on?"
that's I'm gonna edit that out.
Okay.
Even though you know what, let me turn my phone off so that doesn't happen again. I
If you
didn't
want
realize.
to take it, that's fine too.
Oh, it's fine. Um, I was gonna ask you guidebooks. So, are you a big guide? You're a reader, so am I assuming incorrectly that you love guidebooks?
I do. I guess it depends on the deck, but I've been there's a few guidebooks that I've read, especially recently, where I was like, wow, I'm really glad that I took the time to read this because I didn't always do that. Like sometimes I would just reference it, like if I pulled parts, I
Hmm.
would read the meaning, but I wouldn't often like read like it cover to cover. And I started doing that within like the last like few months or year, and it's really changed like the way that I've interacted with certain decks, or like my appreciation for them, or my understanding of the intention, which can make a really big difference in the way that I
So
use.
which recent one have you read that you're like, wow, this was a really good guidebook?
So this one, the Heavenly Blooms Tarot.
Oh,
So, and it's just a little guidebook. Like it's just a very little one.
do you have the
Um,
deck with you?
Sorry?
Do you have the deck with you right there?
Yes, Benny.
Can I see a few cards?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
This one's really pretty. So the back, it has this like rose gold edging on
Uh-huh.
it. And then, yeah, it's kind
Oh,
of, I don't know if this is like technically like an anime style art. I feel pretty
it's
confident in
pretty.
saying that.
I
But
love the colors.
yeah, it's like I love like it has like again that like fantasy vibe. Like it's
Yeah.
very beautiful. Like it's very lush. I love like all like the flowing hair and fabrics and all that kind of stuff. It just it I don't know. I love it. But when I was reading the guidebook, so one of the first things that struck me was the artist talks about how they became connected to tarot, and it was actually through her grandfather, who I believe, don't quote me on this, I'm literally just like pulling it out of my memory, so it might be wrong, but um,
Oh,
she
that's a
grew,
pretty card. This
what's that?
card right there. No, no, no. The one after. That card's gorgeous.
I love light in tarot too. Like any way that light is
Mm.
really beautifully illustrated.
Okay. You were talking about the grandfather.
Yes, so the grandfather sent her a deck from Japan when she was a child. And so I'm assuming that this artist has Japanese heritage. Well, obviously she has Japanese heritage. So I'm assuming like that's kind of where the art inspiration is
Mhm.
coming from. But I just thought that that was like such a beautiful thing, like to have like, and it felt like unique too. Like I can't imagine my grandpa giving me like a
Yeah.
tarot deck or anything like that. Um, he'd give me like a baseball mitt or something. Like he wouldn't give me a tarot deck.
Do you have any big, chunky, like big books like the Terra Volatile guidebook? Anything that big?
No, I think I have like on this shelf behind me is where I keep
Mm.
a lot of my guidebooks if they don't fit in the boxes and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I think the most the biggest one that I have that I've bought separately is probably this one.
Oh, I don't even know that deck.
I don't even remember. I think the deck is called the Libra Mundi. Oh my gosh, I don't even remember anymore what the actual deck is called. But it's a Thoth. Um,
Oh, okay, that's why.
yeah,
Okay.
and so yeah, I actually the creator of this, MM Moline, she has a podcast with is it Susan T. Chang, Wheel Fortune's Wheelhouse, something like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
Um, anyways, so I haven't read this, but this is probably like the biggest one that I've bought like separately from a deck.
Okay. Yeah, I have several. The one that just came in this week is the Blood Moon Tarot manual book.
Ooh.
I went to look on YouTube to see if I could see a flip through of it. There isn't one that I could find. So it's still in its original package. Later this afternoon, I'm going to do a flip through of the book. So, because the creator is going to do a second printing, and I assumed because she says um that it was going to be mass market because they said I'm in contact with a publisher. So my brain went publisher mass market, but that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, true. There's indie
Right. And
publishers. Yeah.
and so I was and my last tarot talk that I did, uh I said, "Oh, he's going to go mass market." What? Really? And then I went, "Oh, well, I don't know. Let me double check."
Yeah.
And I'm reading, I'm like, well, publisher doesn't necessarily mean mass market, but there is going to be a second printing. And so I thought, well, I do a flip through of the book because people will it'd be nice if there was if you had a flip through that you can look to help you decide to buy it or not. So I bought it not really knowing if it really was worth the money in buying it, but I wanted this deck. It was on my unicorn list. I was able to get it, and so I want the book.
Yeah.
It's just, so speaking of unicorn decks, oh, my favorite topic, you have unicorn decks that you've been able to get?
I have one. I'm trying to think of like the rest of my collection. Because when we say unicorn, that means like out of print or like different.
Well, did you see my unicorn, hashtag unicorn video?
Yes. Yeah.
On it, I talked about what I thought it was, and then I was watching other people, and everybody had different opinions, and I was like, no, that's not a unicorn deck, and I had to sit with it and process. So really, a unicorn deck is what you say it is, but generally, it's a very difficult deck to get, either due to being out of print, very expensive, shipping costs could double the price of a deck, whatever it may be. Whatever I define it as something as like a unicorn. Trying to catch a unicorn is like trying to catch water.
Yeah.
That's how I define it.
Okay. So, well, this one would definitely fall into that, which actually you told me to remind you to talk about this.
Yes, I do. I do want to talk to you about that.
So, yeah, I keep it up here with my Lord of the Rings stuff. But yeah, it's the Lord of the Rings tarot. And actually, this one I got for like 25 bucks on eBay. Like it is out of print. I mean, I get like why like people don't love it. I've come to love it because it's Lord of the Rings and it has like a charm, but it's
I
certainly,
will. I will say that feels like a very masculine deck.
yes, definitely. I could see that.
Very masculine.
Yeah. And which I love. So yeah, it does. Yeah. The brick, the wood, yeah, even the story itself is like a story about, a very masculine elements of people's personalities and
Hmm.
stuff like that, which I think is beautiful. So yeah, like this one is definitely my unicorn deck. Like when I was watching you and Krista chat, and you were like, "What would you grab? Like if your house was on fire or something like this one, I would 100% grab."
Well, I think I might have found the best Lord of the Rings tarot deck I have ever seen that literally has the feel and look of the movie.
Okay,
But I'm not going to tell you until
you
my
are
book.
gonna tell me.
No. It's actually on Etsy. I'll put the link in below. I'll send it to you in a chat. It is stunning. The artwork is beautiful. You could look at the images of the characters, and you know who it is based on the movie because they look like the characters in the movie. It's not a pip deck. It's a Rider-Waite Smith deck with all the characters. It's really really well done. I bought it and then I said, no, cancel, cancel. Um, because I don't know the story extremely well yet, and I really won't use it yet. And I'm trying not to buy decks unless I know I'm going to use them. But since you're such a fan, I really think you'll love this deck because of all the Lord of the Ring decks that I've seen, this by far feels like the one that was manufactured because of the movie.
Okay.
And it's beautiful artwork. The color scheme is, if you know me, color is everything to me in tarot decks.
Yeah.
Hues, all of it, tones, and this feels very. Uh, how do you pronounce the word? You starts with an E. With
Ethereal.
yes, it feels very that.
Okay, I like it.
So, so if you're a Lord of the Ring fans, I'll put it in the bottom, in the below. And if you buy it, let her know
Yeah.
that I suggested it because I don't know much about the cardstock. I don't have it, but the reviews are really good on it on Etsy.
Okay.
So much so that I had put it in my cart to buy.
I do have to decide on because Kelsey and I have committed to buying like one deck a month is like a limit we've put on ourselves.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna have a problem with deciding.
Pardon?
I don't think you're gonna have a problem with deciding. I don't care what other deck you're thinking of. If you love the Lord of the Rings that much, I think it's gonna trump everything.
Okay.
I
I am
really
very
do. I
excited.
could be wrong. I could be wrong. I want to hear what you think because I'm not the mega fan.
Okay.
But you have something else in mind that you're gonna get?
I've been like trying to decide between a few different ones. So,
Ooh, which ones? I want to know.
let me. I don't know where my phone is.
You're
Off the
not
top of my
prepared.
head. Hmm?
I cannot believe you're not prepared.
I know. I thought I was. I'm trying to remember because I was like messaging Kelsey about it, and I was like, I don't know what to get. Like it's like the biggest, issue in my life. Um, but I mean, off the top of my head, the Somnia Tarot is kind of one that's always sitting there in my mind that I want to have.
Love it.
Do you? Okay.
Do you have the Death Doula?
No, that's on my list as well.
Both of them together are amazing. Both of them together. Do I have the Somni on here? I don't. But I, God, who did a side by side? I think it was Fairlight, Fairlight Tarot. Sylvia, she
Yes.
did a side by side, pairings, and it was like, wow. Um, I don't know what video it is because she does so many. But those two together, if you're looking for shadow work and stuff, or to really delve deep into something, those two together look amazing.
Okay. Yeah, that one's on my list too. There's one that I found on Etsy, and I can't remember the name. If you want, I can send you the link if you want to add it to the description or something like
Sure.
that. But it's an Etsy one, and it's kind of a silhouette-y type of art, but it's watercolor, I'm pretty sure. But it's one that I wanted to get solely because I wanted to find something that I could pair with the Corrupted Tarot, because that I've
Hmm.
fallen head over heels in love with this deck. I'm very, very obsessed with it. So, but I don't have any oracles that I feel like really work well with it, and I do like pairing decks sometimes, so I wanted to have
Yeah,
something.
I'm really big on pairing. So the it sounds like you do tarot pairings.
I do tarot oracle pairings. I have done tarot pairings
Yeah,
in the
I
past.
do tarot oracle pairings. I love pairing them together. In
Yeah.
fact, right now I'm actually working with, have you heard of the Mike Wilcox Oracle Tarot deck?
No.
Okay. It's the one that I'm using right now. Oh, it's the one that I'm using right now. Oh my God. Sorry guys, my cards are behind my camera. So, last for about 2 weeks I was using the Spoiler Tarot and When Olga Speaks, that is the best pairing I have ever had. Those two working together,
Okay.
I think I could use those forever. And then, so the Wilcox one is this one. It's a guidebook.
Ooh.
Now, there's two of them. There's first and second edition. The first edition is 155. The second edition, I think, is 55 or
Okay.
65. It's the major arcana, oracle decks, and then the zodiac signs.
Okay. Ooh.
I love this deck.
I really like the colors. Ooh.
And so, because it has oracles and zodiacs in them, I don't have to pair it with anything because all everything's within the deck.
Yeah. Oh, that is really cool. Okay.
It's amazing. It's an amazing deck.
Do you keep the sections separate or do you shuffle them
No.
all together?
At first, what I was doing is I pulled the major arcana out and shuffled those, and then I shuffled the zodiac and the oracle cards. And then I was like, no, no, that's not how this deck is intended to use. So I just shuffle them all, and whatever I get, I get. Either I can get two major arcanas, I can get two oracle cards, I can get a mixture of anything. Um, the guidebook is really good. I love the guidebook. So the guidebook, I'm going to do a walkthrough of this as well. The guidebook has prompts, it has a mantra, and so it's you can use it in many, many different ways. But so
Oh.
right, but I tend to in the mornings for my practice, I pull an oracle and a tarot. I work together, and I'm doing a new thing. So before, and I have an Instagram account, and I post all my daily readings on there for
Yeah,
me.
I love that.
And so before it was like three cards, and the middle card would be the theme of the day with like the the first position tarot would be how can I successfully accomplish my goal? The
Yeah.
third card, the tarot card, would be what can get in the way.
Okay.
And so I did that, and then I put little charms and crystals and take a picture and then write it out. Here, I actually write it out on a spiral, put the pictures in my pin, and I post that. And I'm really liking the way that's looking. It feels very, I don't know, it's allowing me to work with the deck more hands-on by
Yeah.
doing it that way. And I'm really enjoying that. And
Yeah.
my
I
Instagram
do.
isn't very fancy.
I do like those posts of yours when I see them pop up of the I did, by the way, have my phone right next to me. I put my Lord of the Rings box on top of it, so that's why I couldn't see.
Okay.
But I could tell you which deck. Okay, here it is. It's called the Spirits and Shadow Oracle deck, and it looks like this.
Okay. Oh, yes, yes, I've seen it. I've
So
seen it.
I thought that that might look good with my corrupted tarot. So that was
Have you
one.
seen a walkthrough on YouTube on it with it?
No,
Have you searched for it?
no, I don't always. I don't want to say I never do that, but I very rarely do it.
I always do it.
Yeah.
Always. I want to see the cards. But if all of a sudden I get through some cards and I get really excited, I stop because then I know I'm going to do a walkthrough and I want the initial feeling to come out
Yeah.
from it. But even if I'm familiar with the deck, I still get excited. Like if you saw my Baba Studios Bohemian Gothic, I went a little psycho crazy on that video. You should have seen the original one I did. But but and so, but do you have a list of unicorn decks? Like an on
I mean, there's like one that comes to mind all the time, which is the Mesquite Tarot, which is out of print. I have wanted, and I can't even find it like on eBay or anything like
who
that.
makes it?
It was an indie deck. I forget the
It's called
creators.
Mystique. Mystique.
Mesquite, like mesquite meat. Like I don't know why it's called that.
I was hearing Mystique like the character in X-Men.
No, mesquite.
Mesquite like the flavor of the food.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
All right. If anybody knows where she can find it, it would be awesome.
Yeah.
I will say I don't have a lot of unicorn decks anymore because 2023 was crazy for unicorn decks for me. I got all the big ones. I have one that I want just because I want the Baba Studio collection, which is the Fairy Tale Tarot from Baba Studios. And somebody sold it recently and I missed it by 6 hours. I was over it. And then I have the uh, masculine feminine oracle deck. I have to post um can't find it. I can't even find a picture of it. It was an indie deck from Australia. I don't know if I'll ever get it. The Buddha Doodle deck. Lisa Papez showed it and I fell in love with it. So that hasn't come up either. But my most recent one that I got was Connected and Free. I
Oh,
was
that's beautiful
I
too.
got the Connected and Free, so that worked out. I was like, woo!
I
So
can't believe that one's not mass market.
I know, right? That would sell like crazy.
Yeah.
That is a perfect mass market deck, but it is mass market. It's just in French,
Oh, okay.
so you can actually get it off Amazon for like $60. But I don't want the French. I want an
No.
English version.
Yeah, no.
So
My French isn't that good, but I yeah.
I have a couple of friends that their penmanship is beyond three, actually. One person's penmanship looks like a font, and every letter looks exactly the same no matter where you look, where she writes.
Yeah.
Every letter. Then I have somebody who writes really small and beautiful, and another person that writes really small and beautiful. And I was going to have them write them out for me, but I was like, can I have them write 72 words on 72 cards? Oh my God, they would go over me.
Um, I just remembered two other ones if you want two more unicorn decks.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
So this one is still available. It's the Sabbath Tarot. And the only reason that I haven't purchased it is because it's $211 and
This is a male nudity, female nudity deck, right?
I think it's like predominantly men, yes. There
But
is
it's
some
very
women, but
dark.
yeah.
It's very dark.
Yeah, it's very dark. It's
Yeah.
very graphic, and I think it's gorgeous, and I love it. They used to
I
have
think
a travel version of it, a smaller one. I can't remember what the price was, but I wish I would have bought it then. But they don't have it up anymore. I'm still following them on Etsy, so I don't know, like if
I would write them. Write
yeah,
them. They might have some damaged boxes. I saw I got a couple of my unicorn decks.
really.
Write them. Hey, I wanted to know if you had any extra box decks that you weren't willing to sell because they were damaged. If you do have one, I would like to purchase one. And I got a
Okay,
couple of decks that way, where and actually one of them was a damaged deck, and they gave me 20% off.
worth a try.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I would do it. But
Okay.
I wanted to buy it, but the more I looked at it, the more unsettling it felt for me, so I couldn't get it.
Really?
If I don't want to ruin it for you. Do you want
I
to know
don't.
why?
Yeah, yeah. Tell me.
It feels too demonic to me.
I get that. I see that. Yeah.
I can't. I can't.
I guess I'm a very bad Christian, but
No, I don't think it's demonic, but
no, it's
because
not.
that thought came up in my mind, now I can't get rid of that thought.
Yeah, I could see that. I feel like that's like a very like overt like theme in it. Like it does certainly.
And I think for the kind of work that you could do with it, I think it would cause a lot of stuff to come up that you could work with. So
Yeah.
I think in that regard, I think it would be a very good deck.
Yeah. I think too, like if I got it, I would probably use it a lot in my writing. So which fits well. So it's
What's the other deck?
the so I don't know if I don't I'm not saying this is out of print. It scares me that it could possibly be. It just so sold out right now. But the Anima Mundi, like that's one that I've
Oh,
had on my
yeah.
mind forever. And I have it on my Etsy wish list. And one day I was just looking through it and I was like, sold out? No. And then I was like, what if it's out of print now? And I missed like my opportunity to get it. But
Again, write the creator. Do you have any damaged boxes
yeah,
that you'd be willing to sell?
yeah, exactly. So yeah, those were the other ones that popped into my brain.
Well, your list is really small.
Yeah, I
Good
don't
for you.
yeah.
Good for you. I'm a lot more complicated than that. So, I want to talk about decks overall. How many decks do you have?
um, I don't know. If I had to guess, I would say around 100. I could be very wrong.
Okay, we're about the same. I think I'm like at 80, maybe.
Yeah, and around there. I have a cupboard in my house where I keep them all. So I'm like, as long as they don't start pouring it. I mean, I do have some like sprinkled throughout different parts of my house for different reasons, but I'm like, as long as they don't start pouring out of there, then I'm content.
Yeah, I have these shelves, and so spring is coming, so a lot of these are gonna change out.
Yeah.
Except for these two over here. These will never change out. They stay there. They're my unicorn decks and my Baba Studio decks. So those will stay. And do you like tuck boxes? Do you like clam boxes? It really doesn't matter to you?
I don't really care. Yeah. I mean, if I had to pick, like I would say the like yeah, maybe the clam ones I
No,
like the
I can
best.
tell you don't care.
I don't care. No.
You don't have to give me an answer. What about the cardstock?
I don't really care that much either, to be
Oh
honest.
my gosh. You're so refreshing. Everybody has like a preference.
I don't, I mean, like if I had to answer, I could give you one, but um,
No, no, you don't have to. I will say that right now, the Mike Wilcox, this shuffles amazing. Like
yeah,
when it first shuffled, I went, wow. And I just shuffled just to shuffle because I like the way it felt.
yeah,
This is by far my favorite deck to shuffle. I can't think of another deck that I like shuffling more. I like the cardstock. It's the right size for my hands. It's bigger than tarot, of course, but oh, all of the backs are amazing.
Yes,
I love
gorgeous.
these simple repeated patterns.
Yeah, beautiful.
Now, I you did start doing collaborations. Um, how is that going? What is it about the collaborations that you're enjoying so much?
Um, it's an opportunity for discussion, I think, more than anything. Like when I'm recording by myself, I'm just talking at the camera, and I love like a back and forth with people.
Mhm,
Um, it gives me an opportunity to kind of reflect on my own views or whatever, right? Like, because
mhm, mhm.
it could be something as simple as like cardstock. It could be something as deep as reminiscing about your mother or what, you know what I mean? Like it could
Yeah,
go from one to the other. So, and I think that's important because I see a lot of um, restraint around conversation and stuff like that. And I really want to try my best to be someone that can engage in difficult conversation. It doesn't even have to be a difficult conversation, any type of conversation. And I think that's what I love most about collaborations. And I mean, just from a creator perspective, it's also it feels like the easy kind of like more free flowing
mhm. Yeah,
content that you can put out. Because when I sit down to film something, I'm very like, set everything up and I can get very like compulsive about it. But when
yeah.
I'm doing something like this, I feel a lot more chill.
It's just yeah, I was gonna say chill as
Yeah.
well. I really enjoy and thank you so much for inviting me for that study,
Yeah,
that
you have
flash
to come
study.
back for another one.
It was great. I'm gonna every time you do it, if I'm invited, I'm gonna do it. I actually want to show you because I was doing the elements.
Yes.
And so I finished doing the elements and I'm so happy with the way it came out. It's very basic, but it's just getting me started to do it. So I just love the way it came out.
Yes.
It
I
came out
know. I
so
was so like excited that you started that like during that.
yeah.
I thought it turned out so beautifully.
I was really happy with the way it came out. And it just gives me the basic information that I need until I can grow further and further.
Yeah, I love
So
it.
now the challenge is going to be because I put the images, and this is part of this whole practice we do with tarot. I put the images on my desktop, then I put it onto a Word document, and then I size them. Problem is, it doesn't give me any kind of measurements. So the challenge is, how do I get the same size image for all the pages following? I have no clue.
I am the wrong person.
I know. So, but next is going to be the numbers 0 through 9,
Yeah,
and then it's going to go with the major arcana, and then every suit afterwards.
cool.
So this weekend is going to be working on the numbers.
Nice.
So I want to develop my own guidebook for me that I can pull, information from a whole bunch of different resources.
Yeah,
Do
awesome.
you have like a little guidebook that you made yourself?
No, actually, I don't. I'm very like I feel like this kind of relates to like when you asked me about like cardstock and boxes and stuff like that. I'm a very like kind of in the moment, like accept something as it is type of person. Like,
Mm.
so I might have like a meaning in my head for like the Four of Cups or whatever, any card. Um, but I really like kind of roll with whatever gets thrown at me, and there's so many different things that impact like the way that I'm going to read a card, like the type of reading I'm doing, what I'm
Yeah.
reading about, where I'm at in that moment. And then there's plenty of times I do readings, and this is something that I actually think I should probably talk about more often, but there's plenty of times that I pull cards and I'm like, this is makes no sense, or this is wrong, or whatever, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
working from that, because that's sometimes one of the more powerful types of readings that I can do is I'll pull cards, they'll make absolutely no sense. So I literally write, this makes no sense because, and that takes you into a stream of thought that can be incredibly reflective. Like,
I
so
don't know if this happens to you, but I have pulled cards and my mind is blank.
mhm.
And I'm like, come on. And then I try to force it. And I'm like, nope, nope. And so then what I have to do is I just sit there. I literally would just sit there and look at the cards, then I'll flip them around, then I'll pick them up and look at them, and I'll sometimes I'll be like, why am I struggling with this? But I try to keep my mind as quiet as possible until something comes up. And then as soon as it does, it's great. Recently, I did a video. What video was it? It was a journal video where the cards were telling me a story. They were giving me my reading, and I didn't like it.
Yep.
And so I was like, nope, I was pushing it away because I didn't like it. And then I was like, no, 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 that's the
Why?
reading.
Yeah.
That's
Why
the
don't I like
reading. And so I have to let it come up. And so I ended up letting it come up. And it was a reading that I needed to hear. I didn't want to hear it. That's the first time that's actually happened to me. And that was like a couple of weeks ago where I had a reading I really had a visceral reaction to and was trying to suppress it.
Wow.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
It is so interesting what comes up in the mind.
Yeah. That's where I think like the magic happens. Like people, I think there is like this like mysticism associated with tarot and all this kind of stuff, right? And like part of me really loves that, and I think it's super fun. And or I'm not even trying to disparage and be like it's just fun. Like some for some people that's a very very serious part of it. But for me, like I always think like there's an explanation for everything, and so I sometimes I even think like, oh, if I feel like I'm noticing a pattern, and like part of me wants to be like that's like a message for me or something like that. But then another part of me is like, no, I'm like, it's like a, what's it called when like you see the same thing over and over again because like you have like if you get a red car you see red cars all the time or something like that.
Yes, I know what that is. I just don't remember
Yeah,
the name of
the actual term has left my brain, but I'm like I think for me like I like to examine that as like is that like a seed that's been planted in my brain and I'm drawing that connection subconsciously constantly, and like
it. Mm.
how do I examine that and then how do I grow from that or how do I use that to my advantage.
And I want to transition to kind of going back a little bit to like the channels that inspire you the most. I know you mentioned Lisa, Dawn, and Danny. Do they provide different things for you, or
Yeah.
do they pretty much what do they kind of give you?
So Lisa, I think, is probably like the best example for me because I remember when I first came across her channel, I like couldn't relate. Like I was like, I don't like it. Just like her the things that she liked, I couldn't relate to and stuff like that. But I think it was her genuine kindness that like drew
Mm,
me in. But
hmm.
then as I continued to watch her, just because I loved her energy, I opened up to the things that she was talking about, like specifically inner child work is something that I just feel I still feel very, very disconnected with. But the way that she talks about it makes me more open to it and makes me want to. I actually do like in my mind, it's like to do thing, right? It's like that's something
Yeah.
that I should do. Um, so yeah, and then Dawn felt initially like more connected and relatable in the sense that a lot of it was around creativity, and that's something that like is very easy for me to connect with. But she's introduced me to so many things that I would have never come up with on my own. I feel like she really like carves her own path throughout the tarot world, which I really appreciate. And then with Danny, I love her connection with her own culture and her own heritage and
Yeah.
how much she brings that. Like I do feel like Danny is just like a magical creature. Like she's just
They're so distinctly different. Um, of course, I had mentioned how Lisa really impacted me with authenticity. Dawn, I had a conversation with her regarding her book. And as she was speaking and talking about numerology, as she was speaking in the tarot, it dawned on me how valuable numerology is with the tarot. Because as she was speaking, it was just like nothing, like it was so ingrained and with tarot for her that as she was providing information with the questions I was asking, I was godsmacked with her mastery of the tarot and incorporating numerology in it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, okay, Benny, the number one means this and da da da. Da." It was just in how she was discussing a card.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
She's
And
like
so now
twisted. Yeah.
it was crazy good. Um, and then the culture as well with Danny. But do you have a guilty pleasure tube that you go to just because you just want to see what they got? You don't really care about learning anything. It's just about you just enjoy watching them, period.
Oh, I mean, like there's lots of people. I mean, I anyone that I watch, I do for that reason.
Really?
I'm trying to think.
There are people that I don't watch as a guilty pleasure.
You're
I
like, I'm
watch,
here to learn.
yeah, I'm actually like Lisa. Um, God, her name is slipping my mind. Truth and Story. Kelly from
Oh,
Truth and
Kelly.
Story. I'm not watching her channel for a guilty pleasure. I'm watching her channel because I'm going to learn something. I'm in grad school. When I'm going to, and I mean, earning my PhD in
Yeah.
tarot when I go to her channel.
I think I'm just like looking through my list here. I mean, I this series that you do, I absolutely
Mhm.
love. I don't feel guilty about it at all, but it's something that I can like throw on when I'm cooking or something like that because even
Mhm.
the way that you do it is kind of like a podcast. I mean, I love, seeing everyone's lovely face, but I don't have to. I can do
Yeah.
something else while I'm watching. I mean, I maybe Krista because I love Krista's collection, so it's a little bit of an indulgence, like to just watch her
Let
flip
me
through
tell you,
beautiful stuff.
I watch her because of her enthusiasm for tarot.
Yeah,
It's infectious. However, what I really watch her for is that her collection is so diverse, it's so eclectic. I I don't know what her style is.
it's everything. Yeah,
And so I made that comment, and so I did an interview. It's already posted, and we talked about that because
yeah,
she introduces decks that I never even heard of
yeah,
ever. She
yeah,
has a lot of decks that are not my style, but I can see how much she really adores the decks,
yeah,
and I can hear it. And so that's one of the reasons. She's one that I don't have to watch because I don't know. I could be doing stuff and I'm smiling from the inside out because
yeah.
I'm just enjoying her joy for tarot.
Her excitement is infectious for
Yeah.
sure. I feel like Kelsey too. Like her videos just feel very rich, and so it feels like a treat to like sit down and watch them. I mean, there's so many people. Waves of Your Soul, I love hers too. Chanel Days, like her videos just always feel like when you say guilty pleasure, I think of something like, ooh, like I watch it, I'm just like, soaking up all the prettiness. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. Those are
How
some.
many how many are you subscribed to?
I don't know. Is there somewhere I can find that? I'm looking right now. One, two.
I think under subscriptions. I think I have like 80 to 90 that I'm subscribed to.
I don't have. I mean, for tarot, I would maybe say there's maybe like 20 on here because I have a lot of other stuff that I subscribe to as
I
well.
have tons. Um, I do have a lot. Right now, one of my favorites is Sylvia at Fairlight Tarot. Oh,
Yeah,
I just love her videos a
yeah.
lot.
She has.
Boy Driver is one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
Um, oh, Marty's, he's one that do you know him?
No.
Marty's Musings.
Okay.
I like him quite a bit. He's very blunt about what he likes, what he doesn't like.
Oh,
He'll give you his opinions about topics. He's very authentic about. He does this series with another um, man in tarot. I forget his name. I haven't followed him. I should. I don't know why I haven't yet. And they have real frank conversations about decks and creators and card stock. And if they don't like something, you're gonna know. So yeah, there's a lot. Oh, and then there's Owl Moon 513. She's
Oh,
very gothy, black hair,
yes.
witchy, very
Yes.
witchy. I like her quite a bit as well. So, oh, and then let me see if I got the right one. Rachel Spirit and Soul.
I don't think I know her.
Oh, I really like her. She has every single, if I'm not mistaken, every single edition of the Bohemian Gothic. I'm so jealous. But there's a lot of them. She's one that I watch because she knows her stuff. She has her own little tarot business and stuff.
Oh,
So I think you might find her interesting. I would give her a shot.
okay. Yeah, no, I'm always down. I know I'm just looking through my list and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad. I'm like, I feel like I could list everybody off, like everybody that I'm subscribed to. I love. So
Are you on any tarot memberships?
no, I'm not.
Okay, I'm with Lisa, um, Sylvia, Dawn, and I think that's it.
Yeah,
And they're all very different,
yeah.
very, very different. I like Sylvia. Sylvia actually does really long readings. She'll do individual readings for so with hers I think twice a month she will ask for people for readings. I think she'll do four or five, the first four or five that respond, and then she'll do like a 15-20 minute reading for you.
Wow.
And she pulls the cards out and you see her whole process.
Yeah,
It's really, really well done.
yeah.
And we're doing a Japanese yokai study on decks.
Ooh,
Yeah, yeah,
cool. Yeah.
very cool. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. This was great.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I could talk to you forever.
Oh, any plans? Do you hear that?
Yeah. Is that a
I'm
motorcycle?
so glad we are finishing up because that would have driven me crazy. Oh my gosh, of course, right. Well, at least we're finishing up. But before we go, anything coming up on your channels that you would like everybody to know about?
I mean, I'm going to continue to do the deck studies every month. So I'm going to have one in March. And then next weekend, Kelsey and I are doing our live for our capsule cards. And I'm still going to continue. I've got a haul that I need to edit. So
Okay.
I hope I can have that up soon. And I really want to just continue to. I really have it in my head that I really want to try to create some original content. I want to try find ways to integrate more my writing and how that's connected to tarot, my spirituality and how that's connected to tarot, and my
Okay.
um, how I use it like therapeutically as well. So I'm trying. That's always been in the back of my mind for a long time, and I'm like, I just don't know how to like translate that to a video. But
You know what? Yeah, we can talk about that off camera.
sure.
Okay. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Tara. Thank you. I really appreciate coming on. This was great. My God, this was such an easy like chat. You're so easy to talk to.
You are. Takes two.
Well, yeah, it does take two.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Until next time, my name is Benny, and I am the Fool's Apprentice. Bye, guys.